Hello and welcome to another episode of the Never a Straight Answer podcast, the podcast that aims to cover a wide range of topics from conspiracy theories to popular culture and news. I'm your host Gaz, and joining me in the studio, you know him, he's my co-host, we call him the Triple Bypass Taylor.
Yeah, good evening everybody, welcome.
He's not really had an heart attack,
No,
but he was very close, but welcome back.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming back to the show.
Offenders,
new listeners and repeat offenders as well.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us for another episode.
Yeah.
We've got a bit of an interesting one this week. We're going to be joined in the studio by a special guest. She's a spiritualist.
Yes, she is.
A soul coach.
Yes.
A Reiki.
So. Yes.
As well as a lot of other things. Nicole's going to be joining us to talk about a wide range of topics, including remote viewing.
Yes.
Quite interesting.
Tune in later and you'll find out more.
Hey, it's good to be back. We had a week off.
We have, yes. Lovely. Oh, man.
It was good. Yeah. I mean, I'll say what we've been up to this week, but yeah, we had a pretty interesting week. We went off UFO hunting.
Yeah.
Not that we could find anything because the weather was horrendous.
Yeah, it was terrible, man. It was just, we were expecting a lot more, but it was a good trip.
You wanted to see this fog, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, I'm not even joking, right? It was a case of like, right, yeah, I had plans, man.
Yeah.
I had so many plans for that. Yeah, right. And it was literally the minute we got there, this fog rolled in, and we could not see our hands in front of our faces.
Clouds opened up, and it was rain near enough all the day.
It did open up a bit. You actually did see something.
Yes,
now,
I did.
All I know is that I was woken up at about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, it was 1:30.
Was it?
I got the time.
All right, then. Well, to me, I don't know. It was late.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm in my tent, and it had been chucking it down.
Yeah.
And it must have cleared up a bit because Taylor's out.
Yeah.
Out of his tent, and he's doing
having
a look about.
Yeah.
Now he says to me, Gaz, I think I've seen something. So I was like, well, what have you seen? And he's like, I don't think it's a UFO.
Yeah.
So what did you see exactly? Because I weren't getting out of that sleeping bag for love and money, mate. And it just happened that it was like where my door was pointing, it was behind
the opposite way. Yeah.
So it was like.
Well, even pop your head out and put it up over his tent now.
I popped my head out. It was just like it was like I didn't. You know why how it is when you go in when you're in tents and that, and it's been raining, you just want to stay in it.
Yeah.
It's like.
But now I've got to wrap up before I come out now, and then I've got to wrap.
So
down.
Explain what you saw, because I all I remember is you saying it was changing directions. It was
it was. This is my honest to God first encounter, if I call it an encounter, because I tested myself as well at the time to make sure that I was compass mentis.
He wasn't too high.
Well, I was looking in the sky, and basically I seen like two. Like bright objects. One stayed still, and the other one was moving kind of erratically, like it was moving into like a triangle shape, but it like going back and forth pretty fast, to be honest.
Okay, so it wasn't a plane or anything like that.
No, and I was thinking, is it star or is it like?
Well, the way you were describing it to me was it was moving about. Now I was like, get some video footage of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I zipped my tent back up. Right, yeah, because it made it. I felt like you'd kind of gone off. I think you'd gone back to your tent. Next thing I know, he's in the middle of a field flashing a light up into the sky.
Thought, why not? Yeah,
absolutely hilarious.
The actual object, when it for about about 20 seconds, it was moving left, like sort of in a triangle.
You
shape.
Signaling it,
and then I seen like I didn't believe it the first time. I seen like 3 lights.
Yeah, because you were saying it could have been a TR3B or something.
And then it whipped off, literally, and it was gone. And then all of a sudden, another a part of the sky, so it ended up being there, moving a little bit more, and then it went off again.
Right,
and then come back to and then by that time, I got back to my tent, and I thought, I'm looking for it again, because the clouds are coming in. And then it's there again, doing its, like, and then I see the 3 lights again, and I thought, right, I'm going to film
this. You didn't film it though. We do have some footage of our adventure, but like I say, it didn't bear much fruit.
No.
Apart from when we weren't looking, or when Taylor was and I wasn't. So,
but I did pop it because the clouds are coming. I thought right, I'll go in, but I'm going to pop back out in like an hour or something and see if the cloud's gone and see if the object's still there. But I'm convinced just by the movement alone. And I tested myself,
it's
like
such a
looking
shame
at other
because, like I
objects
say,
and seeing
if it would have been this weekend,
Yeah.
it would have been such a different story because, like,
Yeah.
I was hoping for such like clear
I would have hated
skies,
it this weekend.
and you know, it was just so
Yeah, so-
overcast and so miserable.
I was lucky that I spotted
What
it
you gonna
then, to
do?
be honest.
We've had a couple of good things happen this week, though.
We have.
In terms of, like, you know, just generally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, mate, I had an interview, a good interview this week.
Oh, yeah, wicked.
Yeah. So fingers crossed. I
Yes,
asked everybody
fingers
to give me a bit of you know, good vibes
luck,
and all
good
that, and it's
fortune.
working. Thank you. You know what? In other ways,
Yeah.
I was saying I feel like today I've had a pretty lucky day.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if that's you
have.
guys out
Jam
there
us up.
giving me the you know, the whole good vibes,
Yeah, keep it up.
keep it
please.
coming,
Yeah.
please. Yeah, could do with a bit more of that.
Pass that on to me as well.
Oh yeah, we could both do with
Yeah.
a bit of that. I've checked out the season finale of Loki,
Yes.
which was pretty decent.
Yeah,
I gotta
it
say.
was, yeah.
Now I do. You know me,
Strange.
I love a bit of timey-wimey stuff.
Oh,
right?
this is just open old kettle of
Oh,
fish,
we had a
man.
discussion about it earlier, and
Yeah.
it was just like so mind-boggling because
We were
what-
looking at it in different ways.
you know the way the way I see it is, it's like if you've got this one sacred timeline thing there, and you've got like one version of Loki born, right? He's
Yeah.
just been born, right? Now any variations would stem from the prime. Say, let's call him Loki Prime.
Yeah,
right.
okay.
Making decisions that would branch off into an alternate timeline,
Yeah.
right, or a different reality of things, right?
Yeah.
But the actual version of Loki would be still Loki, you know.
Yeah.
And they've introduced all these different variations of him, which is great, but it makes me feel like that would have worked so much better if it would have been after the fact. Do you know what I mean? Rather than before the branch timelines and everything started to break off. So, I mean, but it's such a good show.
Because we haven't,
And I do say it's probably one of the best episodes of Doctor Who I've ever seen.
Yeah, oh
So,
yeah,
you know-
there has elements of that, yeah, as soon as I was watching it was like, hey.
Now,
hey.
I've got to say, the guy who played Kang, I forgot his name already, but he was brilliant. I thought it was such a great performance. If you've not checked it out, if you've not checked out any of the Disney Plus Marvel series, you should do it. It's good.
Yeah, it's
so
been a
good.
wicked series, I must
so
admit. First,
good.
so I can't wait for the second one to come, and it's like a movie as well.
Yeah, they're like mini movies,
Yeah,
aren't they? I mean,
really
the
is.
episodic movies,
Really are
and
good.
movie quality shows.
Yeah,
do you know
definitely.
what I mean?
Yeah. The quality
Well-
has just got, and I don't. I think
I don't
want
want to talk too much, but talking about Marvel movies, Black Widow dropped finally this
Yes, she did.
this week as well.
Yes.
Last week even. So that was great. I thought that was
I haven't
good.
seen it yet myself.
Well,
No.
do you know what? Again, it's like because obviously nobody really wants to go to the cinema. I don't.
No.
You know what I mean? In fact, our local cinema's just been knocked down now.
Yeah,
One of
that's
them.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like showcase.
Shame, man.
Big
Shame,
shout
man.
out to the showcase in in
Showcase
Hyde,
Mafia.
Manchester.
Yeah.
It's just gone now.
Yeah.
It was such a shame because obviously I've got a lot of memories of watching
wonder what they're gonna
movies in
put
that
there now.
cinema.
I bet it's
Probably
houses.
houses.
Yeah. They're
Um,
building bloody anywhere
but
at the minute.
it means
Terrible.
that platforms like Disney Plus can kind of charge like 20 quid
Yeah.
for you to watch
And they-
films
and
like
they
that.
will.
So yeah.
It's ridiculous, some
It
of
is
the
a bit.
prices.
If you guys think that's a bit of a rip-off, let us know because you know what I
Rip
think
off
it is.
nation, mate.
Talking about, do you know this is the thing because you want to have a lot more for your money.
Yeah, of course you do.
And you feel like, you know,
More
if
for
you're
your
paying a
buck.
subscription,
Yeah.
then that should be already included. They should just drop it, and they shouldn't like have a premier packet, extra packagey bit.
Well-
do you know, or if they do, then you know, have another tier
It's just all about
Like
bidding
we
wars,
do.
isn't it?
on Patreon.
We do, indeed.
We have a couple of tiers over on Patreon.
yes.
You can get involved with. We need your support more than ever.
Yes.
to be honest.
It's true.
You can
Yeah.
join over there in a couple of tiers. We've got Agent, Special Agent, and Beyond Top Secret.
Oh, yeah.
You can join over the link in the description where you can join and get extra content.
You can indeed.
So that's what I call value for money.
Definitely.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I say we could talk all day.
Yeah.
Some people don't like it.
No,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Well, in that case, you shouldn't be listening to a bloody talk show, should
yeah.
you?
Or you
Get
could
a life.
fast forward it a little bit, you know.
Fast forward it.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Well, those who like to listen.
Well, before we get into the main topic, because we have got a lot going on in the show this week, we've obviously got main topic, which, like I say, we've got a guest in this week.
Yes.
Nicole's joining us to talk about spiritual stuff and a lot more besides. Also, we've got the news, as well as this next segment, which is a great segment, I find, and it's What's Fucked Up Where You're From.
Oh, yes.
This week, it comes all the way from Minnesota in the United States.
Minnesota.
And Claudia messaged us to drop us this absolute legend of a story.
Thank you.
From her hometown. And it is a good one, I've got to say. Now, she sent me these voicemails because I was just like, I'm not going to play the voicemails.
No.
But I'll give you the gist of the story, right?
Go for it, son.
So, it was the final voyage of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Right. So this happened in November 1975, right? And basically this boat, it was quite a really big boat because you've got to think as well, like Wisconsin and Minnesota, which is where this lake borders. Yeah. Right. So this lake it's on 2 states basically. Right. And the way so it's a lake. It's not
a river,
like a coastal city or anything like that. So you wouldn't expect a boat of this size to be on this lake, but it was, and it was being used to transport, I think, like marble-sized ammunition pellets.
Right. Okay.
So there was basically these metal balls, right,
supporting warship.
So like this, but they've just gone and got all this cargo.
Oh yeah, right, that must be heavy.
And started trying to deliver it, and obviously they ran into problems, and the boat ended up sinking. Right. So the story goes that obviously the ship sank, and there's still crew on board, and people have perished. Right. And this is a true story. This is something that you could actually probably kind of visit the area and look up yourself.
There's probably a lot of information on this.
But there's still bodies in the water to this day. Right?
Still?
Yeah. And they're kind of frozen in this sort of like limbo where the bodies have kind of, because the water's so frigid and cold, they've almost sort of kind of like developed a sort of a wax sort of like skin.
Oh, right, okay.
So they're kind of not, they're still in sort of decay, but they're still kind
decaying
of very slowly because of the freezing temperatures.
So we're talking skeletons, or we're talking like
they've still got
flesh.
Yeah. And this is from the 1970s, right? So like, the funny thing is though, and the bit that's a bit creepy is obviously these bodies are still there. Yeah,
of course.
And it's developed into a bit of a kind of an urban legend or folklore.
But
there was a point where they were going to be able to salvage the bodies and be able to kind of put them to rest, put the remains to rest. Now, people on one side, obviously nobody wanted to take responsibility for it. Yeah. Now, but the people in Wisconsin were like, we think they should be laid to rest and put the bodies to rest and have a ceremony of such. But the people in Minnesota,
they want that.
Well, what was it called? The lake, Lake Superior, right? So I think it was the people of Superior, versus a town in Minnesota,
right? Okay.
Right now, the people in Minnesota didn't want the bodies removing because they believe that there's a curse. Right. And any disturbing of the remains would bring on bad juju and bad vibes and karma and stuff. Yeah. Whereas the Wisconsin people are the opposite, and there's this sort of like,
we want to
debate going.
But
I mean, I find the whole thing really fascinating. That the fact that this it's quite eerie and a moment frozen in time.
Yeah, and I bet they're still in battle on it as well.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So I'm gonna have a look into this a bit more, but. Yeah. There was she did say that there was a song connected as well, right? So I did look up the song and I found the song really cool. Yeah, so check this out, right? Oh. So I'll just get to the bit because like it is quite a
long song.
Well, I'm not going to play it off.
From the Chippewa on down of the big lake they call Gitchagumi. The lake, it is said, never gives up her dead when the skies of November turn gloomy.
Really?
With a load of iron ore, 26,000 tons more than the Edmund Fitzgerald weighed empty. That good ship and
There you go.
26 tons.
26 ton plus.
Yeah.
It makes me think, this song though, I mean, it's kind of obviously like a folky song.
Yeah.
But the lyrics, when you're listening to the lyrics, it's almost like he's just turned the Wikipedia entry into lyrics. He's like, and there's a captain, he did 20 years, starts reading his CV out.
What
it's
the
funny.
hell?
No, I mean, but like I say, this is how kind of legendary this is. Somebody's
There's
actually
song
done a
been
song,
named.
made
Yeah,
a song about it. Just heading back to Minnesota, like I say, there's quite a lot of urban legends and creepy stuff that's gone on there. Just to name a few, a Minnesota lawman, Val Johnson, who was attacked by a UFO.
Oh, another attack.
Yeah, well, this one's really interesting. It'd say one of the most famous UFO encounters of all time. When on the 26th of August 1979, the sheriff's deputy, Val Johnson, was on patrol and he was attacked by a UFO. Now, that's the one where he was driving up the road, wasn't it? And he saw the lights. And he was supposedly sort of give chase to it. So there's that. Also, Minnesota's known for Wendigos.
Oh, yeah. There's quite a lot of Wendigos going around.
There is, isn't there?
There is.
Yeah, there are all over the place now.
They are.
And then the mysterious Minnesota ruin that might prove Vikings actually visited the Great Lakes. Now, this is a stone tablet with a load of etchings on that are supposedly Viking text. Now, it's funny that Oak Island has that as well. There's evidence to say that the Vikings had been to Nova Scotia. So, I think that's kind of en route, isn't it? I think it's supposed that the lakes would be the next stop.
You'd have to go. I think you'd have to go around it, wouldn't you, to get there?
Well,
but,
there you go.
Yeah, they've been quite everywhere, actually.
The Vikings got about, didn't they, really?
Well, history has been put one way, and now, like, things are coming to wishing to actually say, actually, add this in and add that in. So, good that we're finding this kind of stuff.
Indeed. Well, there you go. Thank you, Claudia, for sending in
you.
your tales of Minnesota. If you want to get involved and send us a story of your hometown, it could be an urban legend, ghost story, whatever's kind of spooky around your way. Yeah. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
You can email us at neverstraightanswer@gmail.com, or you can go hit us up on social media. Just tell us what the crack is.
Yeah.
What's fucked up where you're from.
We love it.
So, well, today we're joined by Nicole Borghi. Nicole's a soulful coach, a crystal Reiki Master, a psychic surgeon, and is a speaker in spiritual education and the host of the Wisdom Speaks podcast. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Today we're going to be talking about we're talking about kind of a lot of like sort of extrasensory perception and remote viewing. Remote viewing seems to be, for me, a really fascinating topic. And I mean, we've touched on it a couple of times, haven't we? Yeah. In previous episodes where we've kind of talked about it. And it did come up a lot in the 1960s, in some government projects and kind of declassified documents.
What may have been named.
But kind of other than that, it kind of it makes me think, well, where did they go from that? I mean, where's remote viewing today? What's happening with the field? I mean, have there been any developments?
Well, remote viewing is a fantastic subject. It's there's the science of it. There's that military connection or that deep state connection with it, with people like Ingo Swann and whatnot, who are these world-renowned psychics. And then the CIA is like, we're going to put the kibosh on it and we're not going to use it anymore. Which, okay, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But then again, a lot of these remote viewers, like Russell Targ and whatnot, there's courses that these people teach. There's podcasts that these people do. So You're right. It's everywhere. Where is it not? You know, and on a psychic sense, it's there all the time. We do it as psychics, especially if you're illustrating things for people.
I think on a more sort of primitive level, we do it without even realizing every day. I think in terms of sensory perception and, you know, visualization. I think I've said this a while back, didn't I, Taylor, about how, you know, just out of sheer probability, you could kind of like say with a degree of certainty that so-and-so is at a location, because if you know their sort of schedule and their routine, you could say, well, Friday night he's down the pub, right, and visualize that scene, could you say that would be a degree of, you know, remote viewing, or is that just kind of like using probability factors to try and kind of calculate it, or try and like use, you know,
use some kind of estimation
probabilities rather than visualization?
Absolutely, because, you know, remote viewing does have the calculations. Remote viewing is the probability. So if you're breaking it down scientifically, is that not that factor to it that they would use?
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
Where
I'd
is
say
this
so.
person? What do you see? What do you smell? Using your clairs, your clairaudient, clairsentient, you know, are you feeling it? What are the colors? You're writing it, you know, the difference between just being a random psychic and sitting on the table across from your client, or nowadays on Zoom, you're doing that same process. You're using that feeling and that intuition and that trust. It's whether you believe in it or not. And so that's what everything boils down to. In any business or anything that you do you have trust and faith and knowledge? And do you accept it? And can you articulate? And it's the same, you know, my background, some of that for 20-something years is security and law enforcement. Can you articulate it? If you can articulate it, you can write it down, then it's happening, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's not no longer your opinion, because you've done your due diligence to investigate and research.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I can totally see where you're coming from there, because as well, by kind of documenting it, then you're also kind of putting that, well, I've got evidence to say that I knew that this was going to happen. I mean, in terms of remote viewing, one case that kind of springs to mind for me was this Mars Jump program. Have you ever heard of that? And it was supposed to be remote viewers said to kind of visualize the surface of Mars. Yeah.
Solar Warden.
Was it Solar Warden?
I believe it was part of Solar Warden, yeah.
And they were trying to kind of get information about certain areas, weren't they?
Yeah, they were trying to work out about the past. And they tried getting the future, but they got more information about the past of. They were supposed to be, according to the witnesses, they were supposed to have been underground bases of alien cities, because they couldn't live on the surface anymore.
Yeah, because this is what the remote viewers involved basically turned around and said they were asked to kind of visit specific locations, as if the military and the government knew what was there prior anyway. So why would they need to kind of look at these locations? So it kind of makes me think that there's applications for remote viewing, like in terms of knowing what your enemies are doing, or being able to view, sites without kind of having to visit them. Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, in terms of like, say, other applications, what would you use remote viewing for?
Yeah. Well, what would you say coming forward in the future?
I mean, you were saying earlier about kind of like working with clients and stuff. I mean, what's the sort of thing that your clients kind of ask you to kind of use that? Or, I mean, would you kind of use it for
stopping smoking or stuff like that?
You can can use those visual techniques, because mostly a psychic clientele is going to be like a love, relationship, business, career. Am I going to move? The simple stuff that we all want to know and talk about. When I've used it before with friends and volunteers and groups of people looking for missed children or lost children, or friends of so-and-so, hey, have you seen me? I'm on the back of a milk carton. And that's just between friends. I pass the information off. I didn't work with any agency or anybody else, but I pass the information off. Here's where they're at. Here's what the person is, what they're looking for. So you're looking into that aspect, and that does take that remote viewing sense. You start to write it down. You start to illustrate. Here's the color of the car. Here's the time of the day. Here's what's going on. Here's that. And my first vision as a child was with some friends and my mother, and we were doing a meditation. And I knew the street. I knew the cross street. I described the hill. I described the car. There was a car crash, what time it happened, when it was going to happen. They found that in the newspaper the next day. And so that was just something. And as a child, you're just so aware and you're so hypersensitive, and you allow that ability, because you haven't kind of been corrupted. And that's why, when they do remote viewers for like the CIA or whatever intelligence field they're working at, you're in an enclosed space because you don't need all that static.
Yeah.
So
is that how you got started? Is that how you got started from the child, that when you were a child you had this and then you wanted to persist along that line of remote viewing?
Well, just kind of being into psychic phenomenon, really. The whole thing, it does seem like you... we're focusing on the remote viewing aspect, but it does seem that you have kind of a wide range of skills in that area. So, was you kind of interested in this sort of field from a very early age? Like you said, you felt sensitive to it. So, what was it that in particular that kind of started you off on that path?
Well, it did start me off on the path, and I took a few 20, 30 years off or whatever, but I came back to it. It's something you can't deny. Yeah. There's just something innate in you sometimes that you just cannot, you just shouldn't deny. But as a child, I did that. I went into paranormal investigation with my mother. Well, actually, we cleared houses at the time, or we called it ghost busting, because Ghostbusters was really big. So we would go through houses and clear the houses out. And I was lucky. My mom mentored and worked with Marcel Vogel in Silicon Valley. Right. She met him when he worked was coming off of IBM and all that research, and seeing things like that. That was just a day-to-day for me, and it was a wonderful thing as a child, because when you're a child, you're so open. If I saw fairies or elemental beings, that was just time. But what had happened was there was a point where we didn't do certain blessings or prayers or any allow that good energy in, and know when to stop the bad energy. And when you're a child, you're so susceptible to whatever comes in. And so that negativity went through life, and there was a hard stop. And as I got older, I got so far away from it, but then realized that working in security and law enforcement, you're reading people. You're understanding people. You want to know what they do. Your spidey senses tingle, right? You've got all this cool stuff on your back belt, and you're out there.
Your empathy, you build upon those skills, whereas,
it's community-based, isn't it? You're working with the community, so you're working with different parts of society, all measures.
Yeah, totally. Right, you can totally get a read on people, whether they're genuine or not as well. And, like you say, your spidey sense starts tingling, and you kind of... That, again, is a form of clairvoyance, if you like. You're picking up on energies, to an extent, would you say?
Yes. And you have to trust yourself. Okay, this guy, my senses are picking up. This guy just came up the driveway at the casino, and something, my spidey senses are tingle. I turn around, this guy's kind of weird, and I'm watching him, and the next thing I know, I watched a guy walk in the door and run through the casino because he had pulled a knife on somebody or something like that. And we ended up chasing him through a couple different this large area in the casino, and we caught him for the police department. which was an awesome thing to do, but I trusted that I needed to watch. And, it's a good thing that I did because I saw that. But how do you can't really explain that to people.
Yeah.
And again, it was luckily I can articulate and put a good sentence structure together when I write my report and say, hey, how did you know this guy was bad? I just happened to look at him and caught his eye and he ran through the casino. So I got to take it out of my hands. There's no flubbing on the report, but I can't say, well, I got this big vision of this knife and all this gnarly stuff that was in this guy's backpack,
yeah, of course,
all the tools of the crime, right? And, you're not saying that. You can't really justify that. So it's seeing things like that where I'm like, you get this overwhelming video.
Well, sometimes you've got to kind of, in that situation, you've got to kind of, weigh up if you kind of elaborate on all the kind of things you were feeling at the time. It could be thrown out and they're going to look at it and go, well, look, have you read this? How can we take anything that she said seriously based on that? Let him go. So I understand why in a lot of ways, but the police do employ psychics and clairvoyance, like you were saying earlier about, say,
success rate is high as well.
missing people, in terms of bodies being, found after a long period of time using psychics. Have you had any experience with that, or do you know any people in the field like who've worked in those sort of areas?
I do, but they're not. Some of my friends have done that one-on-one.
Right. Okay.
But most of it is, a lot of it is kind of on the down low.
Oh, right.
They're not,
yeah.
Oh, hey, I'm a super psychic cat lady, and I have all these crystals, right?
So you're never going to see it in the newspapers.
Right. I've got my turban hat on and my big crystal ball.
Was it like ringing?
No, I don't think people see it like that anymore. I think obviously, I think more people are more enlightened these days. And whereas back in the day, it was kind of like, you get that sort of stigma of, like you say, crystal ball and come in and, line my palm with silver. And it's like, I think today people are a bit more open-minded to the possibility of these sort of these energies.
And they've got more access on the net as well to for like people like you to explain how this actually works.
Well, exactly. You don't have to. Sometimes that person that makes the decision to hire the psychic or put it in the news wants to pretend, just like UFO disclosure, wants to pretend it's not real, though they've experienced it themselves, or they're the ones that are going to see the $10,000 psychic on the side, right? Like Ronald Reagan had his psychic. Yeah. And it's we like to pretend it doesn't happen for some strange reason. We just like to be in denial. It's a fun place sometimes. But
I know loads of people who go visit psychics and they genuinely believe everything, I think like a good percentage of people believe in when they have a reading, that what the reading says is
more and more
accurate to an extent. And again, it's what you kind of read into it and what you apply to your daily life, and whether you can kind of draw from that advice and kind of apply it.
100%. More and more people do. But some of it, again, is, can you articulate? Well, I used my trust and my intuition. And as somebody, let's say even just a Joe security guard in the casino, what made you think that guy was bad? Well, I trusted that, the way he was walking and was looking around and he was sweating, and, maybe he's wearing a trench coat in Las Vegas and it's 125 degrees and it's 30% humidity. A little suspicious. Let's look at it. There's nothing wrong with saying that. It's all how you articulate it. But most of all, most of what I have experienced is most of the people that have worked with certain law enforcement, it's kind of behind the scenes. Hey, I've got this vision, feeling, whatever they chart, however they articulate it, however it comes out, and they have that discussion behind the scenes. that they give this person, they give that law enforcement, group of law enforcement, certain information, and then law enforcement can kind of happenstance along it and see where does this fit that I can put it to use.
Yeah.
Right. And that's mainly what happens a lot of time. Where can I put it to use? Some of the problem is also they're not going to discuss that publicly because you don't want everybody in your business.
Yeah.
You don't want people to corrupt it. You don't want anybody to say anything. And, with social media, everybody's there to slander a lot of times. And some people read into it. What it is it's better to keep it on the quiet because there's no toxicity. There's no static. There's nothing involved. And they don't question that psychic because you don't want the news reporter coming in and using that psychic. And then that energy's kind of messed up, There's so much to explain. It's just
I think in some cases it kind of, and depends again on the officer, say, but if you had a hunch and you kind of had you felt, again, hunches, again, intuition is kind of like a lot of, law enforcement, or they used to, not so much these days, but draw on a hunch,
Yes.
Now, if they did choose to speak to a psychic and, get their opinion, it could just only clarify what their hunch as it was anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Especially
it could just be a case of
exactly.
that. And then, like you say,
especially
if they find stuff. Now, I've seen videos of people doing kind of readings and being kind of told that there was, or kind of doing seances and things, using kind of paranormal sort of methods, and found kind of like remains because this kind of energy or whatever's kind of led them to it. And when the police have been involved and everything because they found things, and it all comes down to this sort of there are things going on in the world that we don't really fully understand. And I think there's people in the world that do get it a lot more. And then there's people like myself who kind of are open to it, but
I don't think enough people are.
It's not a case of that you're not turned off by it. You just kind of you would like to be able to understand that. Is this just something that is only a select few are capable of? Because I think I was reading a poll that I think 5 to 10% of the population can kind of draw on this sort of clairvoyance or, using some sort of extrasensory perception. So, right. But is it not something that we could, because you were saying there was courses earlier and I did see courses. So is it something that we can learn is what I'm asking?
And anybody, absolutely. Anybody can develop their psychic ability. There's so many of us that for so many years, like myself, have closed off and closed it out. But it's now to be open, and many of us are willing to open up and listen to it. However, the most part of it, I truly believe, is what do people understand it to be? If I say, hey, the 6 psychic clairs, clairvoyance, clairaudient, clairsentient, right? And I start listing off this stuff and somebody's like, what? If I say your intuition, what do you believe in? What does your intuition tell? Okay, maybe that's a little too much. Maybe if I break it down.
That's it. I was just about to say exactly that. It needs breaking down to people because, when you say recognition and you go, well, what's that? Whereas if you were to break it down as, you're able to see far in the past or, be able to look back on things with clarity or into the future or any one of these sort of, because there's a few, isn't there? There's clairvoyance, recognition, mediumship, precognition, and then you listed a couple of others there.
Clairvoyance, and then the clairaudient, clairaudient, you're hearing, are you feeling, are you smelling?
Yes.
Sometimes there's powerful smells. You'll smell smoke, from somebody's smoke.
I think you're doing that, though, all the time, and it's only in certain aspects of maybe when something happens that you actually, or you get a little sense of something that you open it up more, that you can actually use it, or in a kind of way
I think it comes down to sensitivity as well, because I mean, in like terms of scale, you know, there's always people on one end of the scale or the other. Do you know what I mean? These people who are really not sensitive to anything at all, or, you know, really hypersensitive. You know, whether so these people, so these people I've read about who can smell colours, and there's also people who can see music and see audio, right? So again, they're heightened senses in my opinion. Now, I was reading about this one when I was looking down, like, in preparation for this evening, and Claire Gustance? Yeah, which I'd never heard of, but I'm like, I have totally got this. Yeah, right? And this is the gift that allows you to taste something without actually putting it in your mouth. Now, I was actually talking about this the other day. Shut up. I was talking about this the other week, right? Do you know the sour taste? Yeah, when you eat something really sour. Now, I'm doing it now. Yeah, I'm getting that feeling in my glands, in the back of my throat, right? And sour's the most extreme version. Yeah.
And that's why they use it. Marissa Peers uses it.
How do you mean?
Marissa Peers, she is a hypnotist. She does hypnosis, and she teaches people, I think it's called RTT or something. But she does that. She gets on the stage and she does the lemon, now bite. Imagine you have the lemon, now bite. You've just literally done it again to me. Yeah, and these people aren't hypnotized. She's doing it with a whole audience, but it's the point of everybody doing it together.
Yes.
And not that they're feeling left out, but just going for it, because you're able to be open.
Yes. Yeah. Well. Again, I've had kind of psychics say that to me, where they've said, you know, this will only work if you're open and you go with it, and kind of like sometimes you think, well, isn't that kind of not? Is that the kind of just playing along or cheating, if you like, you know? But then,
cheating,
but again, do you need to be in that sort of frame of mind where you're so open to suggestion that you kind of go along with it to a point where you are in a trance? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, you can waffle, and a lot of people do, but when you look at it like a relationship, like your pheromones, right? You know, you can walk past somebody on the sidewalk and you don't get any feeling from them.
Yeah.
And then you can walk past that guy or that girl on the sidewalk, and you're tripping over yourself to go talk to them because you just miss them, and you feel this sudden urge to go talk to them, to know everything about them. You feel this connection. That's just the way it is. You know, it's the same with a psychic reading. Are you open and connected? And sometimes you decide not to go talk to that person. Well, that could have been your soulmate. That could have been the person you had your kids with, and you're married for 50 years, and you go retire with them in some village somewhere. But you listen to that intuition, and that you had that gut feeling, you had those tingling sensations, you had the butterflies in your stomach, and you took the chance.
I get that a lot, where I kind of just feel the need to get up and go out of the house to do things, you know, like, and just at random, like, especially when I've been asleep, say if I've had an afternoon nap. This has happened to me a couple of times where I've literally just woke up and gone, I need to go out, and gone straight out. I don't know why, but then something positive's happened whilst being out and about, you know. So potentially, like you say, it's like these moments what kind of drive you to take those gut sort of instincts and sort of run with them. Because a lot of the time, I think the modern person is so kind of how can you put this? The sort of in too much of a routine narrative with work and life and everything, that most days most people will tell you that most days are very similar, you know. And if you were able to run with your instincts more, then you know, would you be able to kind of rediscover these sort of and like you say, relearn these sort of psychic sort of abilities in terms of opening up your awareness and your kind of being able to read energy in people a lot more, I think.
Saying that, how much have we lost then? You know, we do know quite a bit about it at the moment, but do we really know that much about it? You know what I mean? There could be a long more list of things that your senses that are not actually connected, or we haven't even looked at it yet. We haven't even got the capability to even consider that.
Well, I don't know.
Have we not?
I don't know.
That's the other thing. Is there so much that's lost and not there, or are we just not looking at it?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both myself.
So, I mean, well, what would you suggest in terms of kind of, I mean, would it just be a case of like, literally talking about it until we can kind of comprehend these sort of things? Is it just that philosophers haven't come up with the way of, like you say, putting it into words or being able to communicate it? Yeah, that means that we just physically can't put it into a sentence what these abilities might even be. Yeah, and again, it's not even looking at it like an ability. I mean, we've talked about this in the past about kind of how animals see on a different wavelength, or bats and birds and all the rest of it. We've got to kind of admit that these frequencies and waves and things that we can't even perceive happening around all the way around us. Yeah, right. In terms of explaining the paranormal and a lot more. So science, could it be that once we're able to kind of understand these forms of kind of energy, that we're able to kind of interact with them? I mean, again, it's not like it's something that's going to be able to just switch on and off.
And are we going to get to a finished article at the end?
Well, it takes time.
Yeah.
It took you how many years to get to the point that you're at? It's going to take you a few years to actually put it forward. So it's kind of like a diet, right? You're trying this new diet. Well, how about you just add some good veggies to it and some water every day, and now you're adding a few things and some supplements. Now you're adding some nice things to your body, and you're getting nutrition, and you start to get sunshine, and then you get vitamin C, and oh my gosh, you might be feeling good, right? But you're gonna, as long as you keep trying it out, and as long as you keep adding a few things, then you're gonna build up to that. The point is do you want to do the work?
Yeah, right? Well, this is what I'm thinking. I mean, it's like there must be sort of,
people are always looking for the quick.
Well, this is it. There. People got short attention spans. They don't. They would want to listen for 10 minutes and I'll come back to that. Or they want something. Did answers on a plate.
That should be the first thing we should learn.
But this is the thing, isn't it? It's like nothing like this would be kind of ever that sort of simple. You've got to be able to kind of think, put a lot of work into it, and do the research, try and understand. I think a lot of it comes down to learning the history of stuff as well. I mean, in terms of where these teachings come from, I find that sort of thing fascinating. I mean, that is a good question. Where did the clairvoyance originate? Because you were saying that you were kind of into it from a young age. I mean, it's been around for absolutely centuries. But, it's like I always say that there must be some truth in all this kind of myth and legend and all the rest of it. And, this is something that's been kind of discussed and hypothesized and even put into practice by science and governments. So there must be something to it. So, do you know where it originated in terms of like the popularity of today?
Well, is it more that where it originated, because it's been going on for so many years, and it's kind of like our birthright. It's in our DNA. That 6 degrees of separation. No matter where we go, it's in our heritage is there, and it's coming down the pike. So sometimes you just can't ignore it. But then again, coming to today, we are starting over again, where there's like the star seeds that's in the children, and the children see, and the children are open more, and they are able to have that conversation of what's going on and articulate maybe the fairies, the elemental beings, or a past life or a UFO encounter. Are we listening to it? Did we have that encounter before, and that's why we're no longer want to hear it from our child, and that's why we dismiss it, because we've had that weird encounter and it brings up things that we've shut down in our life and we don't want to hear.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. I've done it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to feel it. I've just shut it down. So perhaps it's that tragic, traumatic point of our life. The other thing is it's also at points where we've never recognized it. And again, like we've been talking about, it's your verbiage, it's your, maybe even your love language, so-called. How do you hear it? How do you feel it? And talking to somebody where they can recognize it at their level. That doesn't mean going down to their level. Sometimes that means picking up your verbiage to somewhere where they can hang and understand, okay, this and this are the same thing. In security or in law enforcement, you read body language, how a person postures, how they're feeling. Are they excited? Are they angry? Are they sad? Are they slumped over? Same thing in mental health. You look at somebody's body posture. Are they happy? Are their arms, their shoulders arched back? How do they talk people? How do they present themselves? How do they enter a room? That's another thing. The same as a psychic or an energy worker, you're still looking at the person's posture.
Of course, yeah. I've said
at,
this
right?
in the past about how kind of like, a lot of it has to be down to being very good at reading somebody. I mean, now there's a lot of kind of when you go for a reading with a psychic, there's a lot that you can't explain. Yeah, where it's like there's too much information, and that couldn't possibly be drawn from just a quick glance of a meeting. I mean, I like to think I'm quite perceptive and I could kind of get a lot of information from somebody at a glance, but to the level that some psychics deliver, I mean, is
Could
it...
be that it's going too fast. I mean, it's like the thing they say is when you first meet someone, you've judged them within about 7 seconds. Could it be that actually these reactions are too fast, that we're not actually catching on to it and going, hold on, step back a bit?
Maybe that's that people aren't are so self-involved that they're not kind of paying attention to other people, other people's vibes
or themselves
or energies.
Right.
It all starts with you.
It's in that detachment.
Yeah.
Are you able to detach your emotions and your feelings from other? It's like the same within shadow work and that deep, deep shadow work. Do you hate that person and what they do or how they walk or how they dress, or maybe you're judging their pants are too tight or their hair is sporadic? You don't like it, but is that something in you that was hurt or that comes up emotionally? Or was that a traumatic feeling? Maybe it happened at a point in time. Maybe somebody wears some brown pants that you wore when you were younger and there was an emotion attached to it and a tragedy. So now you're feeling that. That's just you looking at yourself sometimes. So is it that you have brought emotional baggage? Same thing with a witness on a scene. Some of it's not credibility because it's the theory of relativity. What is your experience? What are your feelings? What emotions are you having right now? If you're standing at a train platform and there's two people, one on your left and your right, it depends on their position. What do they see as the train goes by? Are you seeing the guy choke the girl? Are you seeing the guy hug the girl? Or maybe in your position, they're standing a few feet apart, but you can't see that because your perception's off.
Yeah, position. Yeah, I've got to totally agree with you. It's the interpretation of where the position of you are at the time of whatever was going on. Yeah, I've got to totally agree with you on that one.
Well, explain. I mean,
like you can see something happen from the position where you're sat now. Where, looking at me. But actually,
someone else
is
got their
sat
own
over
perspective.
there could actually see it's totally different to what you're seeing.
Yeah, but that's the thing, isn't it? Because I mean, it's like until
it's their judgment and your judgment, but your judgments are totally different.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. I mean, if you're kind of like a psychic and you're kind of saying, to an extent and using my abilities that I'm able to kind of say all right, we'll use the remote viewing. Yeah, and you were able to say a percentage of certainty that there's a crime scene, for instance, and you'll find your bad guy at this location, right? Now, like you say, from different perspectives, you could ask 3 mediums the same question and they could all give you different locations. Do you know what I mean?
It's the same as if the officer turns up. If the one who turned up an hour before the second officer turned up, their perceptions may be different because they've walked into a crime scene and something is changed.
Right. Either that,
even the feeling, the energy, not just necessarily items.
Right. Or it's their experience and what they understand. The same with the psychics. Okay. Are they really saying the same, that something totally different? Are they talking about different factions of the same thing?
Yeah, but
and
just
what you had mentioned before is how open should you be with a psychic? Well, what you really need to start with is, are you open to hearing what you have to hear? Are you in a tragic moment and you're desperate?
Yeah.
Either you're totally desperate or you're so stubborn that you don't want to hear the answer. And you've paid 3 or 4 other psychics to tell you the same thing. I will give you your money back. Done it before. Hey, you went to 3 psychics already? Here you go. Have a nice day. Thanks for coming in. But, you obviously aren't open enough to listen to the answer and you're not ready for it. Because I'm very straightforward with what I see, feel, or do. But you have to be open to hearing things. You have to be open and have an energetic connection. So it's that heart space, right? So you're turning your mind off for a second and you're coming in the room, and is your heart space open?
Oh, of
so you're
course,
not at a point of judgment, right?
Even down to the simplest sort of reading your stars, you can kind of tell if you're that type of person when you're reading your horoscopes. And, because if you find yourself thinking, how does this apply to me in what areas of, and if it's something about like your love life and it says something, and you kind of start looking for those signs that this is kind of, now if you kind of like start reading into that, then I'd say you're one of those type of people, like who are open to the suggestion of signs, symbols, and energies, if you like. Whereas kind of like if you were the type of person that generally just says, it's a load of bollocks, I'm not really interested, you're never gonna you're never gonna experience even the potential of these sort of ideas and perception,
unless
feelings.
you use them. I was going to say that, where do you see it going in the medical side of things? Because like a lot of old crafts don't really get the chance within the medical systems,
It's just being psychic in...
It's sort of it's out of the medical area, but it worked for a lot of people.
Well, in your bio, actually, say you're a psychic surgeon.
Right, and that's going in to remove that at a DNA, at a soul cellular level, you're removing you're removing the tragedy in that past life that's come across to this life that may cause something in this life to bring you into disease because you're still living that program.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right. It doesn't always work for anybody. But what I will tell you as for today, as a hospice volunteer, so you're talking about medical research.
Yeah.
As an aromatherapist, I've brought in oils to help people.
Right,
oh, yeah.
I do believe in oils.
Right. So that is something that can be considered woo-woo because it's still herbalism from way, way back then. Like the old witch would go in the forest and gather her herbs. The Indians, whatever you use, you're using that herbal natural medicine, and that's where those oils come in. And they allow that in certain hospitals. Having gone into the house to take care of some retired military members and volunteer to go into there and utilize that Reiki energy or what they're open to. maybe you saying it's the power of prayer, or I'm saying it's the power of Reiki. What it is, it's that chi and that energy meridian that moves. Maybe it's Kundalini if you're in yoga, chi if you're in martial arts. But how do you hone that energy? How do you utilize that energy?
Do you think it's all the same sort of, because like I would say, chi is one that I'm kind of familiar with in terms of like what the energy and building up energy and being able to store it and then kind of release it. Well, whether would you think that these energies are the same thing? It's just that they're kind of channeled differently, or it's the way that the teachings have played out over in different continents that we're able to kind of. I mean, are the different energies or kind of the same energy, kind of just differently interpreted in a different way?
I think many times the majority of it is interpreted in just a different way. Okay. That we need to start looking. If we want more people to open up, if we want more people to practice, then we need to simplify it. It's not all that technical woo-woo stuff. If we start simply and we say, hey, in chi, I have to stand my ground, right? I have to stand, my legs are strong, and I have to stand and get grounded. Same thing in yoga, you're getting grounded, you're standing a certain way, right? Then you hone your chi from your root, right? So your pelvic area, you're bringing your chi up, you're holding that chi in, and you're bringing it up. So as above, so below, or as below, so above, you're bringing it to the top, right? In Kundalini yoga, you're utilizing that core energy, again, that serpentine energy. Same thing with the chi that you're bringing up again from that rooted area. And so many times, many of these are basically the same thing, and you're utilizing that power. And so when we realize that we all have this innate power, we all have chi, we all have Kundalini energy, we all have an energy meridian, right? In Oriental medicine, you have an energy meridians throughout the body. They've got to start somewhere. It's all the same thing.
Well, it must be, because I mean, like in terms of like, I was reading something about kind of the I can't remember who it was, but he was basically talking about the difference between the connection between body and soul. So it's like, how can basically they say in science that your atoms over the years change. So are you the same person that you were when you were a child? And he's basically saying that it's your experiences and your kind of your memory that kind of defines who you are as a person. So therefore, that's your memory, your soul, I think that's your energy, all one in the same, in my opinion. Otherwise, if you start thinking about that, I mean, there's too many spare parts. You've got too many detachable energies, your chi and your mental energies and your memories and everything else. I think it is a kind of an idea of the idea of body and mind, and that I think it's that mind energy that we're able to kind of bring to our core when we need it for the chi, or kind of to be grounded and stand our ground, but also manifest in other ways in a psychic sort of capacity as well. But again, it's one of those things. It's a lot of the time it's down to interpretation and this is it. It's philosophy.
Yeah.
Exactly. But and a lot of times it's just simplifying it, and a lot of times it's just doing what we're doing right now, having a long form conversation and talking and going, wow, I did do that, right? I remember I did that same thing. Oh, is this what it is? It's not necessarily jumping the gun and going, oh my gosh, all paranormal activity must be aliens, right?
It's coming I mean? Yeah, exactly. I mean, these paranormal. It's just a word for unexplainable happenings
Yeah,
and
we don't know.
At the
we
moment,
don't know, but we're going to have a look.
At the moment, in terms of like what the human mind, human body is capable of, like going forward and in evolution and all the rest of it, you know, who knows? I mean, you know, they do say like in bajillions of years going forward, we could just be a sentient floating mind without a body. So that goes to play into it plays into the idea that, you know, that there's already an energy power there that is able to kind of, you know what I mean? She knows what I'm talking about. She's laughing at me now.
Exactly, and I laugh because you're so on it, right? This is what we were talking about before with science, right? Where energy and that psychic stuff and paranormal meets the science. Okay, if I'm watching Star Trek, and all of a sudden Captain Kirk or Leonard Nimoy or Spock or whatever is on this planet, and there's these beings that talk to each other telepathically. What is that psychic sense? The same thing. I'm reading your mind, your energy body.
Yeah.
I'm picking up. We're all energy beings. Energy never goes anywhere. Energy never dies. It just reforms. So how are you telling me there's no study on it? So you can tell me as a scientist that, oh, well, you know, in so many years, we're going to be sentient beings and we're going to be able to telepathically communicate and we won't need certain things and we'll just be more of an element in our bodies will form. We won't be as heavy weighted. We'll be a lighter being. Well, that's the same thing I'm talking about. How are we having two different conversations right next to each other, right?
Yeah.
Well,
this is it as well. It's like, you know, in terms of like your science, the science now of how you kind of your brain operates in memory and recall and everything basically. It's synaptic signals, electric signals.
Doing a lot of work on it at the moment.
Why is it so far out to think that you might be able to pick up on those signals even faintly, but be able to kind of get a deeper understanding of another person just off energies?
If proton and waves, then you're going to have to have some kind of sense of feeling it at one point or another. Anyway, it's just how strong your sense of actually feeling that breeze that's just gone by. Was it strong enough breeze, or was you too weak not to sense that breeze?
Or were you just not listening, right? Yeah.
You're just not taking it in and just carrying on regardless, and not understand, and not even taking a second look at, oh well, what's that? So I mean, I used to do a thing like if I had an itch, I'll leave it. But then I found that if I left it, there's definitely something there. And it works out that if I got an itch, I'm scratching it because otherwise there is something there. I can guarantee it.
Fair enough. Well, I think we'll call it a night on that revelation there, Mr. Taylor. I do have to say one more thing though before we go. I mean, do you know one of my earliest sort of introductions to sort of psychic, you know, sort of things like ESP, was Ghostbusters, when you were saying earlier about, do you know that scene at the beginning where he was it. Well, because it really, do you know that game? In fact, they brought a game out, didn't they? Where it was ESP, and I really want this game because it's the cards, isn't it? Where they say
the Zener cards.
Yeah, the Zener cards, and they basically, you know, what shapes on the back of the card. I mean, is that the sort of thing you'd practice and to try and
okay, if you've got the abilities
in terms of remote viewing, would that just even by trying to get a deck of those cards and try and guess what was on the back, would that be something that would strengthen those sort of observations?
100%, because you're using those cards, you know, and each time your muscle, your mind muscle, right? You're strengthening your memory, you're strengthening your mind. You even crossword puzzles. You want to do something for your memory, right? And the use of building that sense. And then when you're like the Heart Math Institute, you're connecting your mind to your heart. And your heart is that intuition and that trust. And so now you understand and you're using it all together, because then it's just a series of math. You keep card count or whatever if you want, but it's really using that muscle memory and redoing it and seeing it. Athletes do it all the time. Visualize winning the game.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, there must have been something in it, because I mean, there must be definitely something in it in terms of even like we were saying about the government research. I mean, I've got a bit of information. $20 million was put into remote viewing research from 1975. Got popularized back in the 90s again, just because, the declassification of certain documents. But the UK, we did some research not even that long ago. I think it's 2001, 2002. And they basically they had 18 untrained subjects, and they recorded the electric fields and magnetic fields around each viewer to see if they could kind of get a successful viewing. And they abandoned the project and said that they did get quite a lot of readings, but because the project was abandoned, they never analysed the data. So
why was it abandoned?
I don't know. Well, this is the thing. If you were getting good results and then, they've abandoned the project and never actually kind of run the data to find out what it all meant, maybe they should get back into it.
Right, exactly. But some of that is through some of the research, some of that is abandoning that product because as a remote viewer, you're opening up and you're connecting to emotional bodies, and you're connecting to time, space, and that energetic connection. As you open, who's to stop the other remote viewer in Moscow or China or where have you to see into you, because you're open.
Oh, can that actually happen then in that case? Whereas if you're kind of doing a remote viewing and somebody wouldn't they need to know about you, or would it just be a case of like they're just drawn to you?
With Solar Warden, when the guy actually went in and looked at the base in Mars and that, he turned round and said, "They're looking at me." They actually turned round and looked at him.
Right,
and he was really surprised that they noticed that he was actually there. It ended up.
But then again,
to go after
that's what I was saying earlier about how we perceive things. It was like, that for us, we could have beings stood right next to us right now, but they're on a different form of, or a different level of existence.
Yeah. Well, you can be on a different dimension, a different time portal. Silicon Valley is doing dimensional studies.
Cool.
That's a scientifically tracked research for those interdimensional travel. So how are we to say no? It's the same thing with Marcel Vogel, who I was blessed to meet when I was younger. He was a scientist for IBM who studied crystals. Crystals are energy. Crystals are in our LCD screens, our computers. Crystals are everywhere. It's energetic. So for you to tell me that the crystals are kind of BS,
fiber optics,
right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's basically how we're communicating right now. Crystals.
Yes.
So,
don't you think it could, or like it's been shown before, that it can be used for bad as well as good? And where do you reckon that, the more people learn how to do some of these abilities, and let's say there's a 25% of the population decide to learn it, and the others part of the population are not disregarding it. Could there be a little like we do abuse stuff?
Again, I don't think it's going to get to the point where it's so popularized that you've got. And again, I think it'll come down to more or less evolutionary, whether these abilities become stronger in the population. Now, again, it's like genetics would say, like if say like you've got people who are strong-minded in these areas, and they kind of like genetically meet somebody who's again, it's like selective breeding, isn't it? You'll get people who, but then again, would that thin out the percentage of people who have these sort of abilities? Do you know what I mean?
We tend to play around with
it's a bit
stuff
of
we
a
don't
word one.
really understand.
Yeah, we do, don't we?
A lot of time we do abuse it.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But
well,
we tend to abuse it at the end, you know what I mean? A part of us does abuse it.
It's not like you were talking then like it was like, you know, when everyone's Jedis and Siths and we're all, you know, using telekinesis to throw moon bases across the sky and that.
I was trying to put it as the basis of like a lot of people may ignore this, but there'd be maybe say 25% of people who would take on.
There's always some who use things for the negative, won't there? Yeah, there's always a percentage.
There's always nefarious activity with somebody.
Exactly.
There's always the evil Darth Vader somewhere, right? And if we what if ourselves to death, and if we continuously what if, we'll never get off the couch.
Yeah.
We'll never go jogging. We'll never get sunshine. We'll never meet our mate. We'll never. What if you can? And so people like us sharing all these good things, if I share it with you, you're going to share it with somebody else, and you'll share it with someone else, and I'll share it with someone else, and we're sharing. And as we share, and that's why I do podcasting. I'm assuming you doing the same, because you want everybody to learn and grow and do.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's it. Learn the truth. Don't accept what you've just been told.
And
learn it.
I'd argue, Taylor, that there's already people out there being nefarious with these sort of gifts and skills. So so I would, they're already doing it. Well, can you tell everybody where they can find you on your podcast, or what you're up to? Have you got any other projects happening at the moment?
Well, I've got a few projects that I'm doing some research on, but they can always go to find me at sabotagesmasher.com. That's my website, or my YouTube channel. Just Google Nicole Borghi. I'm on YouTube. And I do lives periodically, or I'm on Facebook, and they can find me either way. I'm everywhere.
Okay, yeah, brilliant. That's us. Yeah, we try and get on every platform. So so if you want get in touch and learn more about what Nicole does, then you know what to do. Get over and subscribe on all those platforms. Nicole, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We've been really interesting, really insightful. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening. Take care.
Thank you. You guys have been great. You're so much fun.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you again.
Bye.
Are you into top 10 lists? What about pop culture? Or maybe you're just a nerd like us. We've got a show for you, loser. Hi, I'm Nick.
I'm Brandon.
We're the hosts of the Tennis Podcast, a comedy and edutainment podcast covering a new top tennis list every week, including fun facts and trivia. We've covered lists such as the top 10 most popular 90s songs on Spotify,
the deadliest animals,
the worst U.S. presidents,
the leading causes of death,
the best-selling video game franchises,
the most common murder methods.
Okay, are you going to give one that isn't about death?
The deadliest jobs in America.
Listen to these and countless other top 10 lists every Wednesday at tennispod.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Top horror villains by their kill count.
I think we're done here.
If you listen to this podcast, there's a good chance you will die.
We are the 10ish podcast. That's 10ish. Bye.
Cheers, Nico, for coming in. Do you know what? For the conversation we had, we could have recorded literally 2 episodes.
Oh yeah, great guest and absolutely great conversation.
Seriously, really interesting person as well.
Yes.
So thank you again, Nicola, for coming on the show.
Yeah, you were great.
Now I believe we've got a promo.
Yes, we do.
Oh, you do. I do love a bit of promo action. This week, our promo's brought to you by the Tennish Podcast.
Oh, I love a bit of tennis.
Oh, you do, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
It's comedy podcast, educational.
Yes,
in parts. They basically break down top 10 lists every week.
They do indeed.
Nick's a really cool guy as well. You want to get over there and check them out. They do stuff from the highest grossing films, the worst US presidents, deadliest animals, best-selling video games, whatever. They're really good selection, really funny guys.
Yeah.
And here's their promo. Thanks again, guys, for dropping in your promo. You can do too and get involved. We love a bit of indie podcasting, and if you've got a podcast you want us to shout out, you can send us your promo to the regular email address, which is, what is it, Taylor?
It is never a straight answer.
You got it wrong. neverstraightanswer@gmail.com. Hey, when you say, what's your email? And you just go, never straight answer.
Yeah.
That's not the email address, is it now? Right. Well, you can send us your promo, and we'll promise to play it at some point.
Yeah,
but the best bit is we make you featured. We put you on the website.
We do.
And we don't just feature you for 1 week.
Nope.
Feature for 2.
Yes, indeed.
You lucky people.
You are very lucky.
Well, anyway, progressing with the show. I hope you're enjoying it so far.
Oh, yes. Right.
Well, we've got the news.
We have got a lot of news.
Do you know what? Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
I'm going to press the button.
Go on.
It's the news. Holy smokes, we've looked all over the World Wide Web to find the best and most bizarrest news known to man. Oh, geez, this week.
Yeah, there's been a few nutters out there.
Some nutters, but there's also some really interesting stuff going on.
That is very true.
I've got a little what's it first, though, because I don't know if anyone remembers our segment, Nah, so why don't you get a job?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And it might make a return.
Hopefully,
It's made a return on a personal level.
Yes.
Well, this is a job that, it's right up my street, and I think I should apply for this.
I think you should as well, myself. Yeah.
Because if you go on our Patreon, which is segue to our Patreon, it says, any help, we eat tacos. Yeah, right. Like, as in we get to eat that week.
Yeah.
Well, this is a job, if you are passionate about tacos.
Oh, I like a little taco every now and then.
This is a company called McCormick's Spices.
Oh, right.
And they're searching for the first ever director of taco.
Ooh.
Hell yes. Hell yes. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Right. Dealing with all things taco related, business related. So what will the director of taco relations do exactly? Well, they'll be sort of developing recipes.
Eating, drinking.
They'll be developing recipes, mate. This is a serious job. So it's not messing about.
You need to be some kind of chef. You need to know. You need to have the knowledge.
Mixing special McCormick's taco seasonings that they've found across the globe to create the ultimate taco.
Well, you need to find the ultimate one. Well, can't just have a bland normal one.
If anyone's interested, I'm going in for it. So, you can put your application in again. But, obviously, you've got to go over to McCormick's and apply to be Director of Taco Relations.
Yeah, I think even I might go for that.
Good job.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope I get it as well.
He's a lifetime supply of tacos as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, there you go. That's I just thought it was an interesting story. Have you seen anything that you've going into the proper news? Because I've got some mental news.
I have actually, and it is right round our corner. In Staley Bridge, there is a pub that is
not Staley Vegas.
That is just one of the pubs down there has just started a new menu.
Yeah.
Which contains crisp butties.
Now, you told me before that this is the first ever crisp sandwich.
I believe this is what I heard.
And I don't buy it, because I've seen another one.
But well, he might have, but...
I've seen a cereal one as well that do breakfast cereals, nothing but breakfast cereals in a cafe.
Well, I had a little more look into it, and it ended up being actually
they're trying to claim something
that they're
closing
not. Down. They were supposedly closing down, so the group that owns it, basically, the public demanded, and that is demanded, they have crisp butties in there. So then they started it up, and basically,
it's a good
idea. Brand is going
I messaged Walkers and said, "Have you ever doing a deal with Warburtons and making a crisp butty in a bag?" And they went. They didn't reply to me, but then about a couple of weeks later, did a
you got a crisp butty in a bag?
No, they didn't. They did a thing with fucking Subway, didn't they?
Was it with Subway?
Yeah, Walker's crisp with Subways. Get crisp butties. Put your crisps on your butty. Yeah, right. But obviously our listeners know, I'm not a big fan of Subway, so I wouldn't be doing it.
No,
but imagine going to a shop, buying a crisp packet that you opened, and there was a crisp sandwich in there.
No,
genius.
Yeah, genius. I know, but to be honest,
genius. You don't even need to be honest or butts or anything. It's
I can see the thing, but to be honest, for me personally, I'd like to go and butter the bread myself.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
You know what I mean? It's
that
one
is
of them. It's like,
well, this
you
is
know,
the thing, isn't
it's
it?
a personal thing. I like me.
So
you're
on the, yeah, I know, but I'm talking about like, you know, as a convenience food. It doesn't, you know, obviously these.
I don't really go
it's
for
like,
convenience.
obviously, I'd prefer to make a sandwich myself at home, right? But you know, I will buy a packet sandwich for convenience.
See, nah, I'd never buy a packet sandwich.
Even for lunch.
Yeah, even for lunch.
I've seen you eating packet sandwiches.
No, I've never bought a packet sandwich.
From Benji's?
No, I've never bought one from Benji's.
Liar.
Oh, actually.
Liar.
Actually, yeah, tell a lie. Yeah, that was the last time I bought one. It was a cheese one, because you don't generally have just cheese sandwich. You have cheese and pickled cheese.
It's
and
called a
onion cheese
Plowman's.
this.
Right.
But I was starving that day. I was really starving that day, and they had hardly anything, and I didn't want to go and eat, you know, or a packet of crisps or a chocolate bar, and that. I wanted something else.
Right, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Right, I'll let you off. But,
Thank you.
But you know where I'm getting at, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a convenience rather than a substitute for the best original make it yourself.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I
It's
think
just to me personally.
The politics of crisp sandwiches, what's your favourite? Tell us. We'd love to hear from you. We might do a poll.
Yeah. You know what? I've got a problem with Walkers.
I just
at the
like
minute.
putting crisps on a sandwich for the crunch.
Yeah, but I've got a problem with Walkers at the minute because they've got rid of Worcester sauce.
No, they brought it back. I'm pretty sure the Worcester sauce
I'm looking
is still
everywhere
a
for
flavour.
them. I can't find them anywhere. And I want a Worcester
if anybody
sauce
can find any Worcester sauce crisps, send them to us because Taylor's hankering.
I yum them
Now,
up.
again, I don't want to talk about crisps too much.
Yeah,
right, because we will. Fucking hell, it's a good topic.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
I've got to say, the way I look at Walkers
Yeah.
as a company is they're not a crisp company.
What?
Right. Hear me out
Don't
on this
understand
one,
you on
right?
that one.
They make crisps.
They do indeed.
Right?
Beautiful
But,
crisps.
exactly, yeah, right? But what's the distinguishing feature of the crisps? You've just said it yourself. It's the flavourings, isn't it?
Yeah.
You want the Worcester sauce flavouring. A crisp's a crisp.
Oh, yeah.
A crisp's a fucking crisp.
Yeah,
no matter
yeah.
how you look at it, yeah?
Yeah, throw it on a dead rabbit, I'll
Without
eat
the
it.
flavouring,
Yeah.
it's just a piece of fucking potato.
Well,
yeah,
it is.
right?
Technically, yeah,
So
yeah.
Walkers aren't a crisp company.
Potato
They're
company.
a flavouring
Flavoured company. Yeah, okay, I'm
right?
going with you.
They spend more research and development
That's
in
true.
flavourings
Than
than
the
they
actual
do
crisp.
in crisps themselves, right? Crisps never change, right? Oh, it's just a delivery mechanism for the
well,
flavour.
you've got different ones, you know. You've got crimply ones, you've got like monster ones, you've got like, you know, long ones.
All to enhance the flavour delivering.
That is true. That is true.
It is
and
true.
on a
They're not a
technical
crisp
bit, I'd
company.
agree
They're
with
a
you,
flavourings company. You know,
Yeah,
if,
all right.
if they're able to distill a chicken dinner into a crisp,
Yeah.
then they're fucking geniuses in my book. That's Willy Wonka shit, right?
Well, yeah,
But, you know,
that is try. And we
Anyway.
have tried over the last couple of years to put different kinds of funky flavours, man.
So anyway, like I say,
don't
the
go for
crisp
that.
debate will continue. What's your
will.
favourite? Come on, give
Yeah,
us some
it
news.
was. Police in England.
Eat crisps. Go
Yeah,
on.
eat a lot of crisps.
Love a barbon.
Oh yeah, they love it. They love a packet of crisps. So if you see a copper, give them a packet of crisps.
I know a barbon's a biscuit, but you know,
Yeah, well, yeah. Well,
You like
crisp
them,
or a
so-
biscuit then. Oh,
Right,
crisp
come on,
on a
stop.
biscuit.
surrealing me out.
Okay. Basically, police are asking the powers to be to ban fans from Wimbledon and
What, like electronic
Football.
hand fans, or like
no fans as
the
in
actual
supporters.
supporters?
Yeah. For apparently through the Euro 2020 and Wimbledon, there was a lot of people who were sniffing the old coke, and they were
Which, wait a
caught.
minute, the fans just in the crowd were on the
Yeah,
marching powder.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, I'm not
yes, and
surprised because it,
a
it
lot of
did
violence
kick
was
off a
happening.
bit, didn't it?
Yeah.
And like heightened emotions when people are on
Oh well, yeah, it was.
substances. Isn't a
finals
good
as well.
combination.
Well,
Yeah.
this is it, and the
Now,
police
I gotta
obviously
say,
haven't got.
I've
support
got to
them.
say, I mean, I think the lads did admirably. Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They all played really well. I mean, obviously, it was like they should have just tried to keep hold of that lead. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it was-
But things happen. You can't do now about it.
Well, that's
But-
true, but they don't deserve the.
No, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
They don't deserve the abuse they got
Yeah,
after
totally.
the fact. Yeah. Now I
Well out
thought
of
I think all of it was appalling.
Yeah, and I
right?
think a lot of people
And
agree
this
with
it winds me up, right? Because the British obviously have got this. They've got this reputation when it comes to sport.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And when we go abroad or when other countries come visit
Yeah.
and play us,
Yeah.
you know.
We don't represent ourselves.
They don't. Well, no, it's not even us. We say we don't represent. It's the fans don't represent themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, because majority of the people in the UK aren't like that. No. Yeah, and it makes me laugh because whenever I've been abroad, the first thing people have met from other countries say is, "Oh, you're not like how I imagined an English person would be like." Totally, and it's like, well, no, because we're not all like that. It's just what you're seeing in the news, Yeah, and unfortunately, it's a lot of it's fucking bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally.
Now, look at what's his name? Do you know the manager?
Yeah, Gareth.
Gareth.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's missed a penalty, which was a pretty important one.
96.
Yeah, 96. Yeah, right. But nobody. I mean, they gave him shit about it, but it was like,
did the TV ad.
Exactly, but they gave him shit about it just as much as they gave.
Yeah, you got to be able to take a bit of banter.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is, it's like when it's turned into a racial thing.
Yeah, then it's totally different.
It's like, well, what was the difference between his miss and his miss? The fact that he's got a different skin colour makes it more susceptible for abuse. Not a chance. I think it's appalling, and I think what they did to his mural in Manchester City Centre.
Yeah, and I think the social
as well.
Media was appalling on not bringing down a lot of them. They did bring down some, but they didn't bring down.
No, but this is the thing, right? I mean, we could. You've just hit on a subject that I wanted to raise a bit later on. But you were talking about earlier, moving away from Google.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
Now, I said it's a bit funny that you want to do that, considering Trump, your number one
my best mate,
dude, right, has said he's going to launch a class action lawsuit against him.
Yeah, damn right he should as well. He's got the money.
Well, I'm not being funny, but you've just said that you want these social media companies to be more moderating on the people who are spouting shit, right? But when Trump did it, it was okay, and you're backing him in a lawsuit that goes against these, basically saying we want to have freedom of speech on these platforms. That's what he wants, right?
Yes.
He wants to be able to say what he wants when he wants on these platforms
to
and not be moderated.
Yeah, to a degree.
Well, that doesn't work, because by opening that floodgate, it opens up the trolls, the little fucking idiots that have got nothing good to say. Yeah. You can't say, well, he's all right to say what he wants, but they're not.
Well,
it's freedom of speech.
And
that's
enough.
The ththing. It's like you've got to have that moderation in place, because unfortunately, there's a lot of sensitive, vulnerable people out there who become victims of these trolls.
And funny enough, you should say that, because actually a couple of days, I think it was 4 days ago, they had a massive meeting about actually how to control the internet, on how to make it one basic controller, not each individual country.
Yeah, because obviously different countries have different rules about what content's available.
Yeah, exactly, which puts the power into their hands to do whatever they want. So they've got the control of that, where realistically we should have the power control of it, but it should be under control of like racism and 100%. Sexism and or the other issues,
just hate
like
crimes. I mean, if a hate crime's a hate crime, if you do it
do
it face to face, or you say something.
But we all see that he gets abused.
I mean, there was a comedian who went on Twitter over this penalties thing.
Yeah.
And he made one comment, and it has ruined his career. Yeah. By making what he thought was like an observation or a quip. Yeah. It has turned out that he's now got an entry on his Wikipedia page that says racial incident. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
Right?
Well,
that's a career-ending fucking tweet, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, at the end of I feel like the moderation is needed, right, to stop people from being abused, right? But then on the other side, I do think free speech is important as well. But it's what's, if you're just being hateful... Yeah, right. Then that's no use to no one. That's not giving a valid opinion. You're just being a bigot and
who gets to control to know if that's hateful or not? It's hateful to one person, but not to another.
It's what societally thingy, isn't it? Acceptable.
Funny talking on
but
this.
Society doesn't like that. So
there was actually another part of the news I got here, which was, did you hear what happened to GB News? Apparently,
Well,
from,
GB News, from what I understand, is this alternate news station, isn't it?
It
right?
is.
So you were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. I've still not managed to check it out, really.
Yeah, it's basically alternative news to like the BBC. Like we all know that they don't talk about certain things.
Well, they've got an agenda, haven't they? Yeah, this is what I was saying about, like, but every news depending on what their political views are. Then of course they're going to have an agenda. Fox News, for example.
Of course. But apparently on the 15th of July, on Wednesday, they did a talk about the 1 knee. And apparently it went that bad that a few programs, they've had no viewers. Even the Dave channel, trolls have been taking the piss, saying like, that man at 3 o'clock in the morning sitting there eating a kebab in his dirty shirt and underwear.
On Dave.
Yeah. That he got more views than GB News.
But do you not think that? So what, they've ran a story that didn't come down, wasn't very well represented, and
basically.
they've basically got
Two of them
a lot of hate. Because I remember you saying that this was a really good channel, and they were reporting on things that were, weren't mainstream news and stuff like that. But like, I suppose it's when it starts getting. This is the thing. I think the problem is it's when you have people with extreme opinions.
Yeah.
And they start, they're put in the limelight, then
because they go with different celebrities and they open up.
2 ways, really, couldn't it?
Exactly.
It could be like fucking revolutionary, where people go, do you know what? I never thought about it like that. Or it's just seen as fucking nonsense.
Yeah, or it might actually help. They're saying something to help their career.
Potentially,
you know what I mean? Yeah, it's all different.
So what? So they're not doing that well now, are they?
At the moment, but we'll wait to see.
I'm glad. Yeah, this sounds like a retraction from Taylor. It's like we gave.
Well, no. I'm still. I'm not retracting from it, because I think we should have an alternative news, and the subjects that they have been bringing up have been pretty on topic, and actually not the BBC's been doing. But I think they've been attacked from the start because they're a new industry and they actually want to.
I think obviously it's how you kind of bring yourself.
Yeah.
There was a story I seen the other day about a TikTok documentary that's gone viral.
All right,
and it's surrounding the conspiracy theory of child paedophilia.
Oh, right, okay.
I've not really got too much into it, but I do want to watch the documentary before we discuss it.
Right.
If anybody's heard about it or anyone's seen it and they've got an opinion, I would like to hear from you, just to get a general sort of like idea of what people's feelings about it.
Yeah.
But other than that, I thought, when we're talking about news and platforms revealing content.
Yeah.
Now, is this the future where you've got platforms like TikTok or Twitter or Facebook, whatever, having the power to drop these sort of documentaries that they know are going to reach masses of people? Now, I'm not saying it was TikTok that actually dropped the documentary; it was a user. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Now, whether that information that he's put in that documentary is correct or not, that's another story. Like I say, I've not seen it.
Yeah, because it all depend on what he said, and is it his opinion,
where
or
it's
is
got
it
that,
where's the
if
evidence?
it's opinion or whether it's evidence-based, I'm interested to hear. So if you've seen it, let me know. Going into another story, cryptocurrency is a big one.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you've heard of Dogecoin.
Yeah,
right, which was supposed to be like another version of
actually
a
the second
cryptocurrency.
biggest. Yeah.
Well, apparently they've crashed, haven't they?
Yeah, there was a big crash a couple of weeks ago that a lot of coins went down. But there's a big fight at the minute with, like, banks are doing stuff at the minute that are stopping money going out, and they're holding all the money as much as possible.
We got all the money.
Yeah, but even the Bank of England a couple of weeks ago turned around and said that don't count on these because they're
this is
collapse.
the thing.
But
Because at the end of the day, right, think about it this way. A cryptocurrency comes on the market, right? Who's the best person to just get rid of it by buying it all up?
Yeah, but the reason...
The banks.
Yeah, but the problem's been...
They collapsed it on purpose. They let people invest into it, and then they lose all the money. Who gets the money?
Yeah, but
the
they can't
people
mess
who own
around
them.
with it. Like,
know what I
banks
mean?
can mess around with money and put them at a certain level of like a pound's worth of pound.
Right, no, because they're on the stock market,
Yeah.
right? So if you, at the end of the
Crypto,
day,
you
right,
don't.
there's a finite number of crypto,
Yeah.
right? So if I'm a bank
Yeah.
who own all the money,
Yeah.
right, and I want to get rid of this cryptocurrency, right, have you not noticed that the price went up, goes madly up, right?
Yeah.
Well, that suggests that people are buying it.
Yeah, well,
right?
that's it, yeah.
So who's buying it? The banks, probably. Then the banks
Actually, yeah, big
basically,
firms.
they own them all, or majority of them.
Yeah.
So the people who have happened to get one or two and they've got one, have got a bit of a portfolio, they lose all the money, right? The banks don't really care because
Yeah.
they've dissolved it and got rid of it.
And they've already warned you.
Yeah, and they warned you.
Yeah.
Right? Well, Dogecoin or Dogecoin
Yeah.
creators have basically likened cryptocurrencies to a scam run by a powerful cabal that only benefits the rich.
No, I disagree against
Well,
that.
this is the co-founder of Dogecoin, Jackson Palmer. He created the digital currency back in 2013 as a joke, right?
Yeah, a lot of
so
these were
5
played as
years
joke.
later, its market value sold to into the billions,
Yeah.
leading him to basically have a really big cryptocurrency firm. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now,
But more firms are accepting this as well. And don't forget, the law in Britain had just changed that actually cash can now be refused. So if I could go to a job now and go, right, I want to be paid in Bitcoin.
well, what he's saying is, after years of studying it, yeah. Now this is you only know bits. I only know bits from what we've gathered.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now this guy studied it for years, right? He believes that cryptocurrency is inherently right-wing, hyper-capitalist, to basically capitalist technology to build primary and amplify the wealthy.
Yeah, part of it would be.
So they're able to tax evade.
That's true. That's
right?
true. Yeah.
Take money overseas.
Yeah, in a nice little
as
bank
well.
account.
So and this is the guy who co-founded this Dogecoin who's saying this, right? So again, it does seem like it.
There's lots of twists and turns in it.
Lots
I
of
mean,
twists.
you try and get one. You have to go through so many hoops and circles to get into it.
I love
But
how
each one
they
of
say
them-
where you can mine it. When it's like
Yeah, there's
fucking,
actually companies out there who do it.
get me pickaxe.
Mining. Didn't we had a story a couple of weeks ago where
Oh yeah,
in a
there
shed,
was a police raid, weren't they? They thought it was a cannabis farm.
Yeah.
It turned out to be a bit mining,
and earning
Bitcoin
shitloads more
mining
money
operation.
doing it that way. But if it is a thing, it will only last for so long, and then it collapses.
True
But it's already
indeed.
collapsed now. But they reckon that now the thing is, the rich tell the poor where to go, but after, when it's late. This is one of the like problems that we have, that we find the information out, like people going in the share market. Now, the last time people was prompted to go into the share market was just before 2008, before the collapse. And then people lost money, and they've done it again. They've been doing it again over the last couple of years.
Well, there's plenty of ways to make a bit of money.
Well,
they try anyway.
Yeah.
Have you heard about OnlyFans?
OnlyFans?
Yeah.
Don't think
I think
so.
you should sign up. It's,
Should I?
it's just
Right,
for your
okay.
fans. You post photographs for your fans.
Oh, don't want my sexy pictures.
Right. Well, do you know what? This is a story that I found about basically a manager of a restaurant has basically been notified that video recordings that were quite explicit,
Okay.
that were being filmed in their restaurant
What?
had appeared online.
Oh,
right?
naughty.
So, so this is the Rocky Mountain NC health officials have reported that sexually explicit videos were recorded, but so this was by a manager
my
of the
days.
Rocky Mountain restaurant and uploaded to the internet. The restaurant basically said to the news this week that a series of sexually explicit videos on the website OnlyFans, which is a subscription-based website where people
it is.
pay for content, much basically sexual nature.
Yeah.
The video shown a woman using a banana to stimulate sex in the restaurant, and then posted it to a thing. But obviously, like, you know,
she didn't use that
this
banana.
was a Japanese restaurant. So, you know, basically these videos have gone online, and somebody's recognised the girl.
That's even worse.
As the manager of this restaurant, complained to the head office. Right. And I'm assuming this course of actions have been taken. But, I mean, is this where we've got a kind of... I mean, obviously, having 2 jobs and all the rest of it, having a side hustle...
jelly somewhere, aren't you?
I've got to have a side hustle. But that's like earning money on top of money, innit?
Well,
that's money
true.
on top of money. It's like I'm getting paid my 9 to 5 plus making the videos.
The extra couple of bucks here and
I've got this whole I work in a restaurant thing, which is like, you know, a bit of a niche.
You get double bubble,
it's
you know
a niche,
what I mean?
innit? Like,
it's
unhygienic.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I was
don't
agree
with it.
I was going to say something about
Not in the workplace, people. Not in the workplace.
No.
Whatever you do at home is your own business. But, you know... Not where people are coming out for a lovely family meal with the kids.
No, I mean, it's changed about, you know, going out with your boss to, you know, going and making a film inside your while you're working.
Not while you're working.
Well, you know, everyone's got to make a buck.
Well, where did the boss come into it? What were we talking about? Some
Well, it used to be, wasn't it?
1970s, like Mad Men.
I want a pay rise, or I'm going to have an affair with a boss, or, you know, I want to keep an easy life in the
it's
job.
Not what you know, it's who you...
Now it's changed. I'm going to film myself instead for the boss.
Well, this is the thing, you see, because it's all gone so kind of like isolated, where it's like you don't need contact anymore. Yeah, it's like you don't need to talk to people. No. You can just literally go online and have that communication, or you know, have a relationship. I pay a subscription.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? What the hell? Yeah. Well,
it's mad.
Anything you've seen?
Mad. Yes, actually. Imagine this. Imagine you was in a coma for the last 6 years.
Right.
And then you woke up and you realised that Trump was a president for 4 years. We have a massive pandemic. All your celebrity people who you used to love over the years had died one by one.
Where are you, Carl? It sounds like the beginning of The Walking Dead. So what?
And even worse, his game that he loved to bits, they stopped using it now. They've closed it down.
Well, I'm not surprised. How long was he in a coma? 6 years?
6 years, man. And he's gone through all that.
You would just think you were being lied to. I think that is the most extreme version of waking up from a coma.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you say, I think...
That's 28 days later.
You'd be like, fuck off. Trump was never president. Well, yeah, he was. Like, you know...
Could have been worse, though. Think about it. It could have been a lot worse.
All this shit's gone on. We've been in a lockdown for 18 months. It's like, well, you've been in a coma for 6 years. That's nothing.
Yeah. You should have seen what happened in the second year. Jesus.
I know, yeah. So I mean, in fact, he got out quite well. I mean, he missed 2020.
Yeah, he did,
legend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Give that man a medal.
Yeah, but then imagine, like, would you have rather gone through it than gone to sleep for, like, 6 years?
Oh, I would have been happy with the kip, me.
With the kip, I would rather see it through, because then you're seeing actually what's happening point by point, instead of someone walking up to you and going... You never guess what.
If somebody just went, right, at the beginning, if somebody said to me, December 31st, 2019, do you want to rather you can rather live through this year, or you can get in a coma for a year? Yeah. I'd go, stick me in a coma, man.
Well, all right, 10 years.
Well,
yeah, but you don't know what's going to go through that.
Wait a minute. Where'd the 10 years come from?
Because
you have to extreme everything.
A year's really nothing.
Well, that wasn't
6
the choice.
Years is because of what happened in between.
Fair dues, mate. I'm just saying.
But it's I want 10 years.
He dodged a bullet.
That's what I'm offering you, 10 years. You either got to sleep for 10 years, or
no, that's not what I'm saying.
It.
I'm saying the guy dodged a bullet by missing 2020. I've just said if someone gave me the option to sleep through 2020, I would have took it. This 10 years thing, where'd that come from?
I wouldn't have slept through it.
You've just give me a prison sentence.
Yeah, I know. Well,
dickhead.
Yeah. Well, in a way, he did get a prison sentence, didn't he? I know, really?
6 years in a coma.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Well, like I say, he didn't.
He's awake now.
I mean, although we missed a lot, he didn't really miss much.
Yeah, but with this day and age, you can't really know what the bloody truth is. You know what I mean? Because one thing would be saying, oh, well, Trump was this, that, and the other. No, Trump was this, that, and the other.
Yeah,
the pandemic started this hour and
that
this
used to happen at music festivals.
Oh, right.
Where because you were so kind of, again, it was like you wouldn't get much signal, especially back in the day. Before smartphones and all the rest of it.
Oh, yeah, before
So
all
you'd
that.
be like, as soon as you get there, it'd be like the second day, and a rumour would start circulating like a celebrity had passed away.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And
you know what? They've done that quite a lot.
It used to happen weekly, like, and it'd be like, oh, I mean, it used to happen yearly at Glastonbury or Leeds or wherever, and it'd be like, did you hear so and so's died? And you just hear people whispering it to each other all weekend until you got home and realised it was just bullshit.
Yeah.
But one year, I think it was the year Michael Jackson died. Right, that happened, and the rumor started going around. Everyone was like, "Yeah, whatever." And then, like the third day, there was a newspaper they put out for the festival, and it was front page. So we were like, I think he did.
Yeah.
This time, I think it was true.
Yeah,
but,
unless you went in 2016 or I think it was 2019 as well, because them years there was a lot of celebrities that died, and it was like, whoa, one after the other. It was day by day there. It was like, what's going on here? It's a bit of and then he's missed through 2 lots like that, and he's gone, whoa, I remember when like this person was alive, and like, oh yeah, and then everyone's bloody disappeared.
Well, he did. He obviously
he
6
had
years
a nice
in a
little
coma.
kid, didn't he? Yeah.
I found this story. Yeah, right. This is a pretty interesting one about an auction.
Okay.
Right, it's Hitler paraphernalia.
Oh, right.
More specifically, Hitler's wife.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So a couple of her bits have gone up for auction.
And what bits of them?
And well, a pair of lilac knickers for one.
Oh.
Yeah, once owned by Hitler's wife Eva Braun.
Oh,
have sold in auction for nearly $3,000.
$3,000 for a pair of knickers.
For a pair of briefs.
Oh my!
The briefs part of a collection that went under the hammer to auction recently. Expected to fetch around £400, but sold for $3,000. Also included in the auction was a gold ring, a silver mirrored box, which still had Ava Braun's red lipstick in it, and other bits and pieces from a collection.
And I believe the man who bought the knickers is pretty very happy.
I'm sure he is. Yeah. It was probably. I'm not a Japanese businessman.
Oh, well,
because
you don't know.
That's
could be Russian.
Could be. It could be anyone
Probably
really.
UK.
But I mean, the Ava Braun's knickers.
Not
they were lilac lacy. With Ava
kinky.
Braun's initials sewn into them, so they were pretty fancy.
Oh, so they weren't the big knicker pair.
They weren't a granny panties.
Right.
They were a fancy knickers.
Oh, right. So he got them.
Fancy
for a good
bloomers.
price there, then, didn't he?
Yeah, well, there you go. Talking about knickers.
Oh, the more knickers.
This is the knicker.
It's the
this is
knicker
the
hour.
knicker portion of the show. And the Norwegian women's beach volleyball team.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, who usually play in bikinis.
Yeah.
Right.
Look gorgeous.
They've alleged sexism. Yeah, right, or sexualization. Right. So generally speaking, beach volleyball teams, they play in bikinis.
They do indeed.
Now, this team have basically said, we refuse to, this is the International Volleyball Federation rules.
Yeah.
This is the kit you wear, yeah?
Yeah.
They've said that we're not going to wear them, and we're going to wear long trousers rather than the usual bikinis.
Oh, we can't be having that.
So, no, that's what they've said. They've said, no, they're not allowed to do it, right? And they're basically saying if they want to wear, they have to wear that, and they see these bottoms making them feel uncomfortable and sexualized, which is fair enough. Do you know what I mean?
Well done. The lads must be wearing Speedos then still.
The lads are wearing like short shorts.
Yeah. So they're wearing the same,
Speedos.
basically.
So, I don't know. I mean, what do you reckon? Do you think that these guys should be able to wear whatever they feel comfortable playing the sport? It should be about the sport and not about what they're wearing.
Yeah, but it's all about a uniform, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but why not let them, redesign the uniform to make it sort of a bit more kind of like, classy.
Yeah.
A bit more appropriate for what they want, which is comfortable as well as,
if the girls would be happy with that, then I have no disagreement
not
against
a problem.
that.
But I mean,
if you've
like
got it, flaunt it, girl. You know what I mean?
Well, you would say that.
They're looking gorgeous. Yeah.
I'm sure you'd say that. I'm sure most people would agree. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's not about what you want. It's about how they feel and about how they feel like they're being represented.
I think the sport, with like a lot of sports as well, use the sex sells kind of.
Of course, I think volleyball. Look at volleyball, mate. Whenever you've ever seen volleyball, and it's not been sexualized.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a very sexy sport.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
volleyball.
The girls of tennis have been told to stop yelping when they're hitting the balls nowadays. And it's like in different sports, you're not allowed to hit. Even changing.
Can you just repeat that? They're not allowed to hit the balls.
No, when they hit the ball, right. You usually hear a and they've been told to stop doing that.
Stop grunting. Can you not grunt, please?
Yeah. I even watched Wimbledon to see if they're still doing it.
And are they not?
No, they're still doing it a little bit, but they're trying their best not to do it. But that's a part of the sport. That's a part of the energy that they're releasing to put the power of that ball over to the
100%,
opposition.
100% energy is directed there.
Yeah, exactly. So they need that.
Well, what do you reckon?
Yeah.
If you've got an opinion, let us know. I mean, I personally think it's, let them do what they want. I mean, they shouldn't be ruled. They shouldn't be like being told they can't play because they're not wearing.
But you need set rules.
To be fair, though, when we were in school, it was a case of that we had a PE kit.
Yeah.
And if we didn't bring the PE kit, we were made to do it in our knickers and pants.
Oh, yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Vest
and pants.
Yeah.
And it was a case of like, that was the deal, man. You had to deal with it.
Either
you shouldn't have forgot your kit.
Either that, or you go to the dreaded basket.
And find something out of the lost property clothes.
Pair of pants with spunk stain down the side.
I don't know what sort of school you went to.
It's a dodgy school. They knocked the fucker down, thankful.
sounds like a good shout.
It is.
Have you got anything else before we move on to NASA news?
France. Funny enough, France, I think it was yesterday, announced, the Prime Minister had announced that those who haven't had a vaccine, you will have a vaccine because a lot of people have not took it up.
Yeah, you were mentioning this to me earlier about people being forced to take a vaccine. So what are they going to do? Literally pin people down and inject them?
Well, I was
it's
mandatory.
You're saying it's mandatory,
yeah,
but it's like you can't enforce that.
Yeah, you can't because it comes under EU.
Now, I'm not being funny, right? But if the vaccine's so good, then you shouldn't be bothered, right? It's like you shouldn't be worried who's not had it if you're perfectly convinced that your vaccine's good enough to protect you. You shouldn't be worried about who's not vaccinated if you're vaccinated.
If I get ill with it and I go to hospital, it's a test case.
Now, I've got nothing against it, but I do know a couple of people who've had both jabs and then still come down with COVID.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah.
So, I mean,
there's been quite a few that I've noticed lately, to be honest.
I can't
I'm not
say
saying
100% which. I'm not saying anything about it either way, but when you see kind of the things happening. So, you've got to question it. But, when you say France is making it mandatory, that makes me think like, what was happening in China where they'd literally, you're getting dragged out.
You can't go.
Or are they just going to make you a social pariah?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So they're forcing you into it. And it's not the only country that's looking at doing it. They've announced it now. But even Italy, I think, was Greece, I believe, so Poland are looking at doing it. There's a few countries that are looking at forcing it, and it's bang out of order. And I hope someone who's got the bloody money in the back pocket actually sues them for it because it comes under. It's one of the main priorities that no one has the right to put anything within your body, and no one has the right for you to sign away. Things away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I say, it's one of those. I mean, everyone's entitled to do what you're doing. Obviously, it does help if you get the vaccine overall because obviously it means that there's more people immune and it just curbs it.
Yeah.
There's nobody for it to attack.
Yeah, exactly.
So obviously, if you don't take it, you are more at risk. Yeah, and it is still there and it is still out there.
It is.
You know what I mean?
But it's up to you at the end of the day.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
Do what you do.
Go and look into it. Don't take anyone else's advice. Look into it yourself and make your own mind up.
Hooray.
Yeah.
So, one last thing. Freedom Day.
Yeah, Freedom Day. What
Freedom
about
Day's
it?
tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow?
19th, isn't it?
Oh, mint, yeah.
Monday the 19th.
It is, and you don't have to wear a mask.
Freedom Day in the UK. Well, no. this isn't necessarily true.
It's
because
not mandatory, you're saying.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
I'm totally with you.
Because there's a lot of what's happening in the UK at the moment is there's a lot of borough councils or councils like Manchester, like Leeds, like a lot of northwesterly towns and cities, right? Or northern, if you like.
Yeah, he's hitting the northern.
Now the problem is, you're saying, Freedom Day, we're allowed to not wear masks anymore, but these certain areas that they don't have the power to be able to say, well, no, we want to be, in certain areas on buses, on public transport, these type of places, we still want you to wear it, because these are high-risk areas. Now, I don't like buses anyway, right? And I find that most of the times when I have got sick is because I've travelled on a bus. Yeah. Not dissing buses, but that is generally the truth, right? No. So Manchester City Council have said, or Andy, the mayor of Manchester, has said, well, we want people still to wear masks, on the buses, but we don't have control over the buses, right? We don't have that power. No. We can say definitively the mandatory on Metrolinx and trams, because the Manchester City Council has that power over that public transport.
That's right.
Leeds have power over their buses, so they're able to say, yes, they can. But the problem is, it means that if I get on a bus or a train in one city, and I travel to another city, the rules in one where I got on have changed part way through my journey, right? So the rules, so it's confusing to people. It needs to be clear and concise and right across the board. If it's mandatory to wear a mask on public transport, we should all be wearing masks on public transport. If you're saying it's Freedom Day and we don't have to wear them, then we shouldn't be wearing them anywhere.
And not like that. The doctors are even the scientists are even saying
I got a text message from my doctor saying, I know that they're saying that it's this masks and all the rest of it, but because we're a busy practice and blah blah, if you have an appointment, we still want you to wear a mask, right?
Well,
that's fair enough.
Doris, which is Boris Johnson, is actually come up with a kind of plan which ain't gonna work. Like we've got
one.
Yeah, like we've got mayor of Manchester, like mayor of London, and we're gonna have mayors of all different areas. Well, they're looking at doing that in like even smaller.
The mayor of the
so
North.
They can throw like
it sounds like
up to
fucking
the
Game of Thrones. It's like we'll have the King of the North and the King of the South.
Well, we're having a massive argument round my way at the minute with our MP and the council because
you are personally,
because my brother sent the MP a letter saying, "Why are you building all these houses around here when we haven't got the infrastructure to put it down?" So he's actually brought out a letter.
Start again. So the infrastructure to put what down?
Right, to put let's have a look. Schools, roads, even fire services have over the last couple of years have turned around and complained that they can't even drive down the road.
Yeah, I know, but there are more people in the
area. You need more.
Yeah, but you're generating more council tax, so therefore you've got more money to put into the area and generate more schools, more services.
Yeah, but you should have at least a part of the infrastructure there already.
But that's how towns become cities. That's how things have always worked. You build up around. You build a town or a town, and then it grows, and you build more houses, creating more people and more demand for services. And the council money that you're generating by putting it back into the local borough generates those money for those types of services.
Right,
that's the way I understand
about
it,
the bypass near my way. We've been waiting for like nearly 40 years for the bleeding thing to happen. Now, my MP sent
now that there'll be more of a need for it, they might build it.
Well, there's always been a need for it, but
but there'll be more of a need for it with all these houses being built.
Yeah, you're not fucking joking.
Well, there you go. What's the problem?
Yeah,
then?
but then we've got no.
You just like having an argument for an argument's sake. If you can write a letter to an MP, you're on it.
No, because the MP wrote back because he knows all about this, and it's the council's fault because the council have been given grant to do this, and the MP is trying to stop it. He's actually turned around and said, unless you put that bypass through, I'm not giving you any more.
And where's
authority.
this? In Glossop?
Yeah.
But so this is just literally, forget the
Derbyshire,
worldwide
yeah.
fans, forget our worldwide fans here,
Yeah,
right,
forget everyone else, it's me
This
now.
is a local issue.
Yeah,
right, yeah. This
it's
isn't
not.
even local to me.
No, it's not a local
This
issue
is
because
local.
it's
Fucking
not.
10 miles away down the road,
It's not local because it's happening everywhere in England at the minute,
Right,
and
okay.
this is just one of the parts of the problems that we're having. And it's
The thing is, Boris is trying to invest a load of money into housing.
and
but
also
the
waste a
problem
lot
is-
of money.
The thing is, this comes back down to like what we were talking about with like the Green Shield stuff. You know, like who's by. Oh yeah, it's great. We're getting all these houses built, but
Yeah, you're not allowed to
who's
complain,
had the
don't you?
backhander to get the contract?
Yeah, because you do know by law you're not allowed to complain about it now.
By law.
By law, you're not allowed to complain about it, and it's like what? And so if you build
I don't
that
know
right
about
next
that.
door, no, it went through, and it was like it's like there's a new law that they're looking through. There's a bill going through Parliament that actually, if this pandemic or anything like this happens again, that they have the ultimate power to do whatever they want, so they could turn around to you and go,
Okay.
right, well, you move out of there, and you've got to move out of there.
Well, I think we've talked about a lot of different
have.
political debate to start shit tonight,
We have,
as well as Hitler's and Mrs.'s knickers.
Oh, yeah.
And we got a bit of NASA news before we
Please.
move on.
have.
I'm going to start off with talking about camping. It's a lovely time to go and UFO
is.
hunting.
Oh yeah,
If
definitely.
you're going to go out camping, you've got to do a bit of UFO hunting. haven't you?
yeah.
Now, a
Whenever you
place
can.
in Wales has opened a UFO Starship-themed pod.
Oh,
You can basically go and sleep in a UFO.
yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen it. It's beautiful, man.
It's been there since around March 2020, but obviously with people not being able to go on many holidays,
Yeah.
it started to get a bit more popular.
Yeah, damn right. Damn right.
It's out of this world. It's you can literally stay in a spaceship,
Yeah, it's like glamping.
and in Wales of all places.
Yeah.
I think I want to check it out. To be honest, I want to go and sleep there. It looks absolutely awesome. It's a futuristic design, and it basically looks like a bit of a pod that you can sleep in
Full
with a
circle.
dome on the top, so for stargazing.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Looks
yeah.
awesome. I'll have to stick a link in the description for that and an image on Instagram. But
Yeah,
I thought that
definitely.
was cool, man. Just because we went out looking for UFOs, and I think if we would have gone there, we might have seen one.
We might have.
Well, we would have.
might
We would have been sleeping in one for a start.
Yes, that is true.
I'll let you go.
Well, have you heard about Hubble and
Hub-
what's happening
Hubble?
with the Hubble telescope?
Bubble,
yeah.
bubble.
Yeah.
No, I've not heard of going.
They're turning it off and turning it on, basically.
It's like, have you tried switching it off and on again?
Yeah, they're trying to. They do realise that they've got a major issue there, and they don't want to lose it. And they're
No, it's a
trying
good bit of kit.
everything. Yeah, it's mint bit of kit.
Just get it repaired if you can get it repaired. You know,
Yeah.
you don't want to have to. You spend millions on these things. You don't want to have to fuck it up.
And billions
You know
to
what I mean?
send it up there. It's quite a feat to get. A
Oh,
rocket
yeah,
up
yeah.
there with all the technologies and that. But NASA's celebrating this week for the New Horizon, first one to pass Jupiter, the small little dwarf planet we've been watching. Well, they've decided they're going to put a little bit of footage filming of it passing, a closer look
Okay,
at what
cool.
it looks like, and it's I've seen a bit of the footage and it looks nice,
Pretty cool, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, I saw this story about a film from the ISS, right? And it's a bizarre cigar-shaped UFO that was seen hurtling past the International Space Station after it was spotted by the NASA live feed. Obviously,
They turned it off, did they?
probably, but you know, the fact is, it's like more and more we're seeing these objects passing the ISS. I mean, it's undeniable, and I don't understand why the there's this big hoo-ha about confirmation of UFOs existing. The clear as day, man. They're in the sky. They're there, but they're passing our technology,
Yeah,
and being caught
bypassing,
on camera. There's nothing else up there. I mean, this is a cigar-shaped object, which is, what else could it be? Do you know what I mean?
no one else has got any of that kind of
Well, I mean,
technology.
if you rule out all the fucking other possibilities, and we've got no other tech in space, and it's moving in a way that suggests
Supposedly.
it's a craft, then
Yeah.
it's a craft. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't know who it is or what it is, but it's in this case, they
someone's
reckon
got to be
it was
behind the steering
something
wheel.
pretty massive.
Yeah.
Or
got to be controlling.
seen very far away. It was something really big far away, or something pretty small.
You know what?
close up.
I'm finding that over the years, they seem to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's like good, because then we have more and more evidence that it's there, and more chance of filming it, and more chance of actually the general
So
public.
this a UFO hunter, Mr. MBB333, received the video from a follower who Miss Mary Hall, who was convinced she saw a solid object flying past the ISS on Thursday, the 13th of July. The Space Watcher shared the clip on YouTube, captioned it's something massive seen very close by the ISS.
I'm going to have a look at that.
I will send you a link. I will post the video over on Twitter and the other social media parts and pieces.
Well, keep your eyes out there, and you will spot one of these one day.
Well, you got to, haven't you?
I reckon you'll spot one
Well,
within...
there seems to be more, and
a week.
obviously with the polls and everything, it seems to be on the rise.
Yeah.
I think,
Totally.
Oh, what was it? It was something ridiculous, like actually, I've got the stats here.
What was it? America was 1/3 of Americans believe it now. But I also seen another study saying that 56% of them believe.
Well, it's there was a rise in UFO sightings back in 2011.
Yeah,
which it got us between 2011 and 2013. It went up to about 8,736 sightings.
Right.
Then it plummeted towards 2019.
Yeah, it usually does.
And then
happen,
2020 went back up to 7,500 again. So it's been a kind of a good year in terms of visuals and seeing things.
Yeah.
A lot of that probably put down to the fact that we had a lot of time on our hands to look up.
That's true, but
you know what I mean?
there is another method to it as well, because you might see it, but don't just see it. If you do see it, report it. Because if you report it, if you record it and report it. Because that's the only know that we know how many we're seeing.
Then other people have seen it as well.
Yeah.
Then it's multiple reportings of the same object, isn't it?
You can more clarify it.
Talking about more NASA kit, the Curiosity rover
been
doing its mooching around.
Been doing its rounds.
It may have detected an alien burp.
An alien burp?
A burp.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Now, it doesn't mean it's
smelly one.
seen an alien burping. A group of scientists have just pinpointed a location on Mars with a mysterious source of methane gas.
Right, okay.
So,
so it's on its way. It's going to go on its way if it's close enough.
What's methane?
It's your fart, mate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, well, it's gas. It's gas made by organic
matter.
Yeah. So potentially
it's
microbes.
It's the first thing that they reckon that life say.
Yeah, exactly. If there's methane, then that means something's generating it and creating it.
Yeah.
Right. Which it could be microscopic organisms. It could be something bigger under the surface.
That's more likely we're going to find microscopic.
So, no. How do we know that it's like not? Like if we were underground dwellers, right? And we had a society underground, then what would we be releasing? Carbon monoxide and methane.
Yeah, but
that'd be the byproducts of our civilization.
It depends what they breathe.
Well, no, but if they had a thinner atmosphere, it might be this very similar oxygen based, but they're just able to survive on thinner.
Yeah, but this is only a suppose because
coming to Earth
we
might be
know,
like breathing soup.
We only know that we believe that everything that's out there drops methane.
Oh no,
but
I'm just saying.
Obviously,
we get methane from, like you say, algae and microbacteria as well. So
and
it just means when these
it gives a good indication.
It's
like water being there.
No, but what I'm saying is, it's having a pocket. They've pinpointed an area that's releasing a lot or a burp of methane, right? So
from the alien bases, mate.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a vent. It's
Yeah.
like if you wouldn't be releasing it all over the place. You'd have an exit point. You'd have a fucking vent point.
Well, there's a video in there
so
of
that makes
tower.
me think that it was, it's underground bases or something like that.
Yeah, they've got videos of towers where I believe one of them, I've seen it several times, where it actually draws out some like smoke out of this fucking tower, and it's like, hold on, it got caught as well on one of the Apollo missions.
Well, there you go. You see, you can't argue with the facts.
You don't know until we're there and we're going, oi.
It's been a while. We have got a lot to talk about, but we'll have to save some for next week because obviously we're running out of time.
We are.
Now.
You need your sleep.
Yeah, it's getting on in the morning, isn't it?
It is.
Well, hope you've all enjoyed the show. Have you got anything else you want? Was there any more NASA news? Are you all done?
I'm all done and dusted.
Done and dusted.
What about yourself?
Well, there you go. That's the show. I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll be back next week. We've had our break now, so we're business as usual.
Oh yeah.
If you manage to get to the end of the show, we salute you. You're an absolute legend, and we love you to pieces as always.
As always.
If you, obviously, if you're listening to us, you've subscribed already. But if you haven't, you know what to do. Go over and subscribe to us right now.
Yeah.
We're available over on Spotify, iTunes. Wherever you get your podcasts.
We are everywhere.
We even stick ourselves on YouTube every now and again as well.
Indeed.
If you've got any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can email us at neverstraightanswer@gmail.com or hit us up on social media at NASA_never. Never Straight Answer on Instagram. All good stuff.
It is indeed.
Ooh, we've got a couple more guests coming up. We've got some great guests coming up in the near future. So that's something to look forward to. Yeah. In fact, we recorded one this week, which was brilliant.
We did,
So you know what? If you like your paranormal, you're gonna love
this one. Yeah.
Also, thank you again to Nicola for joining us on the show. You're an absolute star.
Yeah.
And that's it. We'll catch you next time. Is there anything else I'm missing? You can go to the website. Everything's on there. We'd love your support. Go and check out our Patreon.
Yes, we would.
Buy a t-shirt.
Yeah. Or
just tell your friends.
Yeah, knock on next door, or your colleagues, your work colleagues. Spread the word around.
Spread the love.
Yeah.
Well, we'll catch you next week.
We will.
We've got a top episode as usual, and that's the show. I've been Gaz.
I've been Taylor.
We've been the Never a Straight Answer podcast. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
Cheese boy, man.